Hi, friends. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a chapter from this book called Plains Outbreak Tornadoes Killer Twisters. It's a nonfiction book. And as we read this chapter, we are going to be filling out this concept map that you see on your screen. And we are going to be filling this out with some characteristics or features of tornadoes that we hear in this chapter. So this chapter is called Whirling Windstorms. In the 1939 movie, The Wizard of Oz, a twister picks up a Kansas farmhouse. It carries the house, Dorothy, and her dog Toto far away to a land of witches, munchkins, and talking animals. The movie is fiction, but tornadoes can do amazing things. One Oklahoma couple was taken for a ride inside their home. The tornado destroyed the walls and roof, but the floor stayed together. The couple was unhurt when their house was returned to the ground. In 1947, a car with 2 passengers was carried in the air for about 200 feet. Then it was set back down. Amazingly, the men were not injured. In another case, a funnel cloud sucked up a railroad car. The car was turned around in midair. It landed on the ground on a different track, facing the other way. During an earlier tornado, a train was also blown off the tracks. Railroad workers never saw the train again. It may have been smashed into pieces that were then scattered across the prairie. So from what we're hearing so far, I think tornadoes are probably pretty powerful if they're able to move houses and cars and trains. Another bizarre event occurred in 1986 when a tornado hit Sweetwater, Texas. A police officer stopped to help a victim whose car had been blown off of the road. The car's rear windows were gone. Officer Carnathan recalled, "There was a kitten lying in the back seat all wet. So I told the woman we would take care of her cat for her. And she said, 'I don't have a cat.' Then this fellow comes walking down the street holding 2 other kittens and looking for the 3rd one." So now we're going to learn about how tornadoes form and what they look like. The word tornado comes from a Spanish word, tronada, which means thunderstorm. So the first word that I'm going to add to my concept map is going to be thunderstorm, because tornadoes are circular windstorms that originate from thunderstorms. That's what it says in the book. So we're going to start with thunderstorms because all tornadoes start with thunderstorms. So right here on this first line, I am going to write thunderstorms. Oops. Okay. The conditions that lead to these storms are especially violent. What are these conditions? Tornadoes develop near low pressure areas of high winds. The next word I'm going to add is low pressure, because this is where tornadoes develop. They develop in low pressure areas. So that would be a characteristic of a tornado, is that it's in a low pressure area. It's right there. Okay. I lost my place. The atmosphere close to the Earth's surface is constantly moving. Different regions are warmer or cooler than other places. This depends on their position in relation to the sun, cloud cover, and other things. As air becomes warmer, it expands and becomes lighter in weight. Warmer air moves upward. When 2 very different masses of air bump into each other, the thunderstorms that generate tornadoes are formed. Fast-moving, cold, dry air meets moister, warmer air. Usually cold air moves underneath warmer air. In this case, though, the cold air mass overruns the warmer air. The warm air then rushes upward at fast speeds. Air also blows in from the sides. This creates a strong, twisting updraft. The core of low pressure becomes a tornado. The low pressure area acts like a powerful vacuum. Like hurricanes, tornadoes have 2 kinds of motion. Their winds rotate, twirling around a center. Tornadoes usually spin counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. As they spin, tornadoes also move forward. Wind speeds at the end of the funnel cloud may sometimes reach 280 miles per hour. The next thing that I'm going to add to my concept map is going to be a funnel cloud, because we know that tornadoes are in the shape of a funnel cloud. That is another word for like the swirling tornado that you see is the funnel cloud. The combination of rapid winds and a low pressure core can cause tremendous damage. One Midwesterner who has seen a dozen tornadoes compares them to a huge vacuum cleaner. So now I'm going to add down here rapid winds. That is another feature of tornadoes. They cause really fast winds that can cause a lot of destruction. Funnel clouds vary in color, and their center is made up of tiny droplets of water. After touching down, the funnel typically becomes darker as dirt, and various objects are sucked into the twisting winds. The tornado may pick up dust, rocks, tree limbs, and parts of buildings. This debris also acts on things the funnel cloud hits. The winds can ram objects like doors or even pieces of straw into these thick tree trunks. The powerful winds can even tear the feathers from chickens. Oh, that does not sound like a good image. Okay, I'm going to add debris over here as another feature of tornadoes, because usually, like if you can remember in The Wizard of Oz, if you've ever seen the movie, you can see the debris in the tornado, the houses and the barns and the lady on the bicycle. Of course, that would not be happening in real life, but there is like real debris in tornadoes. So in this one, this debris is dust and rocks and parts of buildings. So debris is usually something that you see with tornadoes. A reporter described the scene after a tornado ripped through the town of Barneveld, Wisconsin in 1984. Smashed glass glistened in the streets, bed sheets dangled from trees, a fork protruded from the brick wall of the firehouse. Dead songbirds lay on the ground, completely stripped of their feathers. Old Christmas decorations sparkled in the road. People who had been tossed hundreds of feet by the wind suffered from cracked skulls, broken limbs, and knocked out teeth. Tornadoes range in width from a few meters to as much as 2 kilometers wide at the ground. The average tornado is about 100 meters wide. Some tornadoes travel only a few dozen meters. Others rise and fall over dozens of kilometers. At the end of its life cycle, which may last from a few seconds to several hours, the funnel cloud is drawn back up into the parent thunderstorm. A thunderstorm may produce a second tornado minutes or even hours after the first one. Tornadoes may also contain more than one circulation spinning around their middle. These are called multiple vortex tornadoes. Tornadoes are hard to predict, and there is rarely a typical tornado. For example, the average tornado travels at about 20 to 30 miles per hour, yet some travel at 60 miles per hour or more. Most tornadoes move from southwest to northeast or from west to east. They have been known to move in any direction, however. Some have even made a complete circle. Others make sudden turns. I think another feature about tornadoes is that they are really hard to predict. So I'm going to put that on the next line. Tornadoes are really hard to predict because they can form in only very certain conditions, but sometimes they don't form, or sometimes they form when they're not expected, or they move in ways that aren't expected. Before the twister itself appears, green lightning can be seen in the sky. Rumbling sounds are heard. Clouds come nearer, and thunder turns into a roar. Lightning flashes as the cloud spins in the air. Green lightning. I have never seen green lightning before. I don't know if anybody else has, but I'm going to add that to my map too, because that sounds very specific to tornadoes. You don't just see green lightning every day. Green lightning. I have heard about the sky being green before a tornado before, so that's probably where that comes from. Wherever a high-speed twister hits, it is likely to cause severe damage. The average length of a tornado's path is slightly more than 4 miles. When the tornado is over, large marks can be seen on the ground. These marks may be semicircular, like scoops laid next to one another. Tornadoes usually occur in the afternoon, when thunderstorms grow in the hottest period of the day. However, the storms can occur any time of the day or night. Tornadoes occur throughout the world, but the United States has more tornadoes and more of the most violent tornadoes than any other country. More than 1,000 tornadoes form in the United States each year. During some years, there are far more than the average number. Although tornadoes can often form in the Midwest, they can happen in any state. Massachusetts has the highest average number of tornado deaths per 10,000 square miles. Delaware has the highest concentration of tornadoes that result in injuries. According to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, tornadoes are nature's most violent storms. Every state is at some risk from this hazard. So a lot of times in our area where we live in Tennessee, we don't have a lot of tornadoes because we have the mountains protecting us. But there have been some tornadoes nearby here in Tennessee and some really bad ones in other parts of the state. So we are at some risk here in Tennessee too. Most tornadoes occur on land. However, similar Similar twisting windstorms can also take place at sea. These are called waterspouts. Hailstones often occur with tornadoes. That's another thing that I'm going to add to my map. The last thing I'm going to add is hailstones. That is usually something that you see with tornadoes. And that is because the kind of thunderstorms that form tornadoes often also will form hailstones. These chunks of ice can become as large as tennis balls or even grapefruits. They start when bits of ice and dust combine with cold water in the air. These balls of ice, dust, and water freeze. They increase in size as they hit more water droplets. These small ice chunks are tossed around in the storm and grow larger over time. Finally, they fall to earth. Hailstones add to the damage caused by tornadoes. They strike grasses, plants, crops, cars, and buildings. These balls of ice can break windows and destroy roofs. Large hailstones can injure or kill animals and even people. As the tornado finishes its run, its circulation begins to fall apart. The funnel becomes narrow and twisted like a rope, trailing the thunderhead from which it came. The twister becomes thinner and thinner until it disappears. It leaves behind a trail of destruction. Scientists do not know how to stop tornadoes before they begin on their harmful course. The best they can do is spot these killer storms in time to warn people in threatened areas. On the afternoon of April 26, 1991, numerous tornado warnings had been issued in Kansas as funnel clouds darted across the state. So after we read that chapter, these are all the things that we learned about tornadoes and what they look like and what comes with them. So I hope that you have some good information on your concept maps too, and that it helps you take some information away from this nonfiction chapter.